Welcome to tutorial number 2. We're going to use cut paper to do a stop motion animation. And in this tutorial, we're going to take our little alien character that we made and we are going to focus on his expressions and some of his lip syncing. And we're going to use the program Stop Motion Studio Pro. Now, Stop Motion Studio also has a free program that works just fine. The Stop Motion Studio Pro, it's not very expensive. I believe it's under $10. So it's a really entry-level, very easy, but powerful animation program. So let's take a look at Stop Motion Studio Pro. If you've watched my other cut paper tutorial on how to do stop motion with cut paper, I do go into detail on how to use Stop Motion Studio. So if you want to jump back and take a look at that tutorial, it might help you out with some of the basics. And it also goes into a little bit more detail on how to create the characters with the full body. In this tutorial, we're going to focus just on facial expressions and a little bit of the lip syncing. So let's dive right into that program. My animation setup for the tutorial is a little different than I would do it if I was actually making a movie instead of a tutorial. I angled everything so that you guys could see it really well. If I was doing this for the movie, the iPad would be facing straight down and my little alien would be laying down flat. Here are the eyes and mouths ready to go. Let's go ahead and open up the program and try this. Let's take a look at how to use Stop Motion Studio Pro in the iPad. There are some differences between the iPad version and the laptop version. I'm going to go ahead and open up a new movie. Here's my character. Now, to make some lip syncing and some audio happen, I have to take some pictures first, so I can't just record. It's grayed out. So I've got to take some pictures first. And you'll notice it's still grayed out, but if I select one of these, now I can add audio. A couple of options here that don't exist on the laptop. I can record directly on the timeline. If I hit the audio button, I can also import some different things. Let's cancel this and let's use the microphone. The microphone brings up a recording option. And let's go ahead and try this and see how it works. We're going to make our alien just yawn. We're going to do something very simple. All right, let's play that. All right, let's hit done. Now the audio may not happen until later on our timeline, so we might not have enough shots taken. Let's play it and see what happens. Yeah, I need to take some more shots here. I do believe that he's starting to yawn though pretty quickly. I think I heard that start to happen. Let's take a couple. Let's play it again. Okay, so that's where our yawn starts to happen. I have some options. I can use one of the mouths. Let me change my onion skin so you can see this. I have a mouth that I can put here, and then I can take several shots. Let's do that. Let's play that and see if it lines up. It does, but now we need to take his mouth off. So he closes his mouth. Let me move my onion skinning down a little bit. All right, that looks really good. What if you don't want to use these little cut paper mouths? Let's say you have something small like a Lego or something where you can't really tape a mouth on there. Well, in this program on the iPad, you can use your pencil or your finger and you can actually draw on here. So let's go back. Let's select where we had the mouth. And I'm going to delete these frames. All right. So we know our yawn happens right in here. Let's double check. All right. Click on your frame where you want to draw. It brings up this selection box. Click on Edit. Up in the corner, click on the plus. And it gives you some choices. If you're working with a Lego, and I think somewhere you can actually manipulate these faces, but there are some fun pre-made faces that you can bring in. I haven't really explored that because I prefer to create my own. So if you push the plus, then you bring up here, let's click on Add Drawing. I want to show you the toolbar here. This changes the size of your tool. This changes the opacity, which is very similar to the fill. It's kind of a similar tool. And this is the color. So if I wanted to change it, let me click this really quick so that you can actually see. Right here's where that dot is. I'm going to go back to black. And I'm going to use my drawing stylus, but you could use your finger. And let's make him yawn. We'll go back to our timeline. Here he is, he's yawning. If we took the next picture, it would be closed mouth again. So what we need to do is copy and paste this. We need to kind of figure out the timing of the yawn, you know, how long he actually has his mouth open. And then let's go ahead and just take closed mouth. That was pretty close. I might be off a little bit, and I could probably go back in, copy, paste, and delete and line that up a little better. On the iPad, you have this option of recording on the timeline and using a tool to draw on the picture. Let's go over to the laptop version and see what we can accomplish using that. I'm going to open up Stop Motion Studio Pro on my laptop. When I open it up, I'm noticing, first off, that my image is upside down. So we need to flip that around. Let's familiarize ourselves with our workspace here. This little button here are your project properties. A little bit different than the iPad. On the iPad, everything was kind of located across the timeline at the top. But here, if we click this, it brings up several choices for us to control things. At the top is the source. You can see right here I'm using my Canon. If you connect a camera, it should show up in this little screen here that you can connect. Here's the orientation. Right now it's on a default. I'm going to rotate it 180. There we go. So now I have my character facing the right direction. I do need to move him a little bit. I'll get his face in the center. The iPad version was very powerful. There is no reason you can't make a wonderful movie using that version. In fact, it has some advantages to it over the laptop, like you could draw the faces. As you'll notice here, we cannot record audio. We have to bring audio in. But some of the advantages of using the laptop are some of these controls over here are a little bit more fine-tuned. As I'm going along the side here, we have some green screen effects we could do. We're not going to play with that today. Time lapse, your format Themes, these are the similar in the iPad where you could put it in, have a fun little intro. You could choose to use one of these little foreground pieces which are fun, but for this tutorial I want to be able to just see him straight on. And these exist in the iPad as well. But what I want to get to is the project property down here where it says the movie speed. I want to make sure that this is at 24. When you first open it, it may put you at a default of 5 frames per second. If you shoot at 5 frames per second, you're going to have a hard time making a nice, smooth animation, especially with the lip syncing. So I'm going to bump that up to 24. You might be able to get away with 12 frames per second, but I find 24 makes a nice, smooth animation. All right, we don't really need this open, so I'm going to close that. And let's focus on our timeline and what we need to do to make this animation. We could go ahead and shoot a bunch of shots. I think it's wiser if we go ahead and bring in some audio. Let's minimize and open up GarageBand. I'm going to choose the voice track. GarageBand automatically brings up a lot of effects that we could do. I would rather do the effects later in like a post-production where I can actually control that a little bit more. So let's go ahead and just use the narration vocal and record. Ooh, I'm sleepy. Ooh, I'm sleepy. All right, that sounds pretty good. Let's go to share. We're going to export the song to disk, and that allows us to put it on the desktop, put it wherever we need to put it. I'm going to choose the desktop so it's easy to find. I'm going to title it Alien 1 Voice. And let's go back to Stop Motion Studio Pro. If I click on here, you'll notice everything is grayed out. I need to take a couple of shots so that we have some choices here. Let's go try and bring in our audio. I could put sound effects in. There's some fun ones. We want to do just our talking, our lip sync. So let's go to recordings. There's nothing here, so we need to go import. Now our audio track is down here. And on frame 33, he starts to yawn. So we need to take quite a few pictures before we get to that yawning section. You could select, cut and paste, which is a good idea. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and select these. Let's see how far we have. I would like to make him blink right here, just so we have a little bit of action going on. And I need to pull the onion skin down so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put his sleepy eyes on. The nice thing about onion skinning is if you move something too much, it allows you to see where to put it back. There are different ways to animate, and every animator kind of has their own way of doing things. I like to have his mouth start to open a little bit before the sound happens. So I'm going to open his mouth up on frame 31. I'm going to open his mouth a little bit. I'm going to select the play bar up above. I'm going to go over here to frame 1. And that's going to allow me to play this back. Let me fix our onion skin. Okay, I'm going to check and see if it's in the right spot. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and open up his mouth a little bigger. Depending on how much you want his mouth to move for the animation, you could cut and paste this all the way through. I'm going to go ahead and select these two. I am going to copy and paste. And then right here, I want his mouth to wiggle a little bit. And here you can tell from the audio that he's starting to trail off and close his mouth. Let's bring that other mouth back in. Or here, I even have one where he's almost completely closed. And then let's go back to closed mouth, neutral face. I'm going to select up here so that we can play this. It sounds like he's starting to open up his mouth to say I. Let's go ahead and put an I-shaped mouth on there. And I think I'm going to go ahead and have him open his eyes, but still be kind of sleepy. Let's play that and see how it looks. That looks pretty good. I do think even though he's starting to say I'm right here on 61, visually on 57 and 58, it looks correct that he's opening his mouth to start to say I'm sleepy. I'm going to add his eyebrows because eyebrows really start to give you some great expression. We probably should have added those at the beginning, but we're going to go with it and see what happens. Let's make him blink. I'd like to be able to close his mouth down when he says I'm. So let's play this and see if we are at that point. I'm. Yep, we are right at that spot. So let's bring in this sort of neutral sound looking mouth. That makes sense. I'm going to play this to see if he's starting to say sleepy. I think we can go ahead and take a few more. Let's play that. I am going to open his mouth up just slightly in an S sound. I have a set of lips where the teeth are touching the bottom lip, which is good for F sounds and also S sounds. And let's go ahead and put his sleepy eyes back on. I made the corners of his eyes kind of droop down a little bit. That really makes him look sleepy. I'm going to copy these three and then paste. There we go. I believe this is where he starts to say sleepy. We've got the S sound back here on frame 67, and then it's EP. I think that's where it happens. This is where an X sheet would come in handy and I could note exactly which frame I believe things are going to happen. But let's play it and see. I'm sleepy. Yep. So we might need to erase this one. And let's go ahead and open his mouth in an E shape, which I just dropped on the floor. Whoops. Let's play this and see if we can figure out where the P for sleepy is. I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy. I think we are there. Let's take off the E mouth. And I'm going to put back on this kind of neutral lip mouth. And I'm going to raise his eyebrows up a little bit. And then we need to go back to an E sound. I'm going to use a little bit more grumpy mouth. And let's make him blink. It looks like, according to our audio here, we might be off. This might be the E over here. I think we need to play this. I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy. I think what we're going to do is take a few more this way, and right here, maybe this is the P. So it would be much easier to do this in an X sheet, in GarageBand, look at the seconds, write down, and then know exactly where you need to put things. I'm curious to see if this is the P sound right here. I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy. Alright, I do think that's where the P sound comes in. So let's take this mouth off. And we'll just do his closed mouth here. And let's have him open his eyes again. Sleepy eyes still. Because he's sleepy. Going to take off his sleepy eyes, and I'm going to have him be looking to the side for the E. I'm going to close his mouth down. He's almost done saying E. And let's have him look forward. Let's review that.
I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy.
After reviewing it, I'm not sure that I like his eyes when they look to the side, so I would probably change that and maybe just go back to a sleepy eye. All right, so that shows you how to do some lip syncing by bringing in your audio. Let's try this. Let's see if we can bring in a second audio track. I'm on frame 61. I'm going to click on audio. I'm going to try and put a sound effect on here. Now, let's see if it kept our audio or if it erased it. Let's give it a try.
I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy.
So you can put the sound effect there, but when I'm looking at my audio, I only see one audio here. So it might be that I'm not familiar with how to pull down or see the multiple audio tracks, because I would like to turn down the volume on my little sound effect, but I'm not seeing how to do that. So let's take that audio off. That was on frame 61. Let's remove that one. And we still have our audio, which is our spoken track. I would think it'd be easier to go ahead and line everything up with your audio and then use GarageBand or some other program to add some special effects. If you wanted to continue this audio, there's a couple of ways we could do that. We could bring in another audio right here and have it line up and start on frame 90. But we would have to time that out in GarageBand so that it actually started on frame 90. The other way is just to go back to GarageBand. Here's our narration track. Click here at the end. We could even trim this down. Let's do that. Let's pull this down. And let's record a second line of audio. Let's make this quick. He says, "Ooh, I'm sleepy. I need a nap." That's actually quite a bit for us to animate. Let's see, let's pull this down so it's a little bit shorter between, and let's play it, make sure we like it.
I'm sleepy. I need a nap.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Let's go ahead and export this. Share, export song to disk. Let's call this one Alien Voice 2. Put it on the desktop. Bring up our program. Let's go back to frame number 1. Go to audio. Let's remove this one. I don't want to double paste it, so let's remove this. Alien Voice 2. All right, let's go to the end and see if the second, there it is. So right here, he's going to say, "I need a nap." So our second vocal track is right here. Now all we would need to do is maybe cut and paste and fill this in. Let's do that real quick. Here's where he starts to say, I need a nap. So let's go ahead and put an I sound. I'm going to speed up our recording a little bit right here and just kind of go through what I'm doing very fast. Same method that we used before, lining up the audio, changing out or replacing the face shapes, and then a lot of reviewing, going back and playing the footage, making sure that the sounds line up with the certain mouth shapes that I'm choosing. You'll notice just by changing the eyebrows, putting a frown on him, it really changes his expression. Let's preview.
I'm sleepy. I need a nap. I'm sleepy. I need a nap.
All right, that looks pretty good. At this point, we're getting kind of long in our tutorial, so let's just take a look at some different ways we can move the expression around without actually taking the frames. So here's the sleepy face, a little bit grumpy. Notice when I turn his eyes and level them out, he has a little bit different expression, and then the eyebrows are a very powerful tool for doing expression. If I flip the eyebrows upside down, he's going to start to look a little more worried, maybe even sad. That's a smiling mouth, but what if I flip it upside down? I made some eyes that look both directions. So on one side, they look to the right, and then just by flipping them over, that looks really weird. I can make him look either direction, so I don't have to cut out a whole nother eye. Let's change his eyebrows. And what happens if I turn them completely upside down? So here we've explored quite a few expressions we can do with just manipulating the eyebrows and the eyes. We haven't really even brought in any mouths. Let's have him look forward. Let's run through some quick mouth shapes. That was an M mouth, and this is an F or S mouth. Opening up to an O, or an even bigger O. If you change the eyebrows, he could be yelling, or maybe a little mischievous. This is the meh face, especially if you add the sleepy eyes. And then we have a mouth that could be used for an E, or if you turn those eyebrows, you can make him look very mischievous. There we have it. That's using lip syncing and expression in Stop Motion Studio Pro. Wow, that was a lot to learn about that program. So we've completed using the Alien and the Stop Motion Studio Pro. Now we're going to take a look at Dragon Frame. Dragon Frame is a much more powerful program. It's used by professional animation studios like Leica, one of my favorites. And it allows you to really manipulate the lip syncing, and that's what we're going to focus on in tutorial number 3, is lip syncing using Dragon Frame. If you've never used Dragon Frame, I would recommend that you watch some tutorials on how to open the program, how to get it started. We're going to just jump right in, and we're going to just take a look at how to do the lip syncing using an exposure sheet, an X sheet. All right, I'm going to see you in tutorial number 3.